plenty of strange things have happened throughout human history, and plenty of extremely unlikely coincidences. However, in this century alone, standing at just 2 decades and change, there have already been some freakishly coincidental, downright creepy events take place. Let's have a look at these strange phenomena and rank them. Here are the 10 creepiest coincidences of the century so far. Now be sure to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe, share, ring the notification bell, and let's begin. Number 10. Life Story. On November 23, 1936, the first issue of a magazine known as Life was published, and inside, accompanying the editorial entitled Introduction to this first issue of Life, a photograph was printed above the caption, "Life Begins," depicting a delivery room and a doctor delivering and cradling a baby boy. The boy in the photo would be named George Story, and in our first coincidence, he grew up to become a journalist. However, that's not the last curiosity here. Decades later, after getting married and spending his retirement in Hawaii, Story passed away from heart failure at just 63 years old. But the real twist here is that Life magazine announced around the same time that it would be ending its publication, and George's widow was interviewed in the final issue, stating that George had really enjoyed his fame as Life's baby. Number 9. Devon Sawa's doomed flight. On March 17, 2000, the movie Final Destination was released, a film whose central plot revolved around a group of teens attempting to cheat preordained certain death and, through the use of typically millennial gore, explore the concept of fate versus autonomy. Devon Sawa, one of the actors, played Alex Browning, a character who sees a vision of his plane crashing and causes chaos on the flight trying to prevent it. Here's the kicker. 19 years to the day of the movie's release, Sawa was due to board a flight. The actor tweeted, "I'm on flight 317, March 17th. What the fuh?" To which several fans posted their replies imploring him not to fly. All ended well though, and the actor landed safely. Still, that's eerie. Number 8. All in the Family. Okay, try and keep up with this one. A gentleman by the name of Stephen Lee decided to get engaged to his girlfriend by the name of Helen. Sounds normal enough, of course. However, when the pair decided to celebrate with their families, they were looking through Stephen's family photos when Helen's mother recognized someone in the pictures. The person she recognized was Stephen's father, who, in an extremely unlikely twist, Helen's mother had previously been engaged to. However, her father opposed the marriage and it never happened, and she ended up marrying Helen's father. So that bride's mother was previously engaged to the groom's father. And a happy bonus for Stephen though, his father had sadly passed away when he was a teen, and talking to Helen's mother helped him learn more about his father when he was young, which is nice. Number 7. Generational Hero. In Jiangsu, China in the 1980s, a man named Xu Weifeng heard a man in distress and found him drowning in a river. Weifeng jumped into the river and saved the man's life. What a hero, and a nice story wrapped up with a bow. However, in a very bizarre twist, over 30 years later in 2018, and now at the age of 80, he once again heard a cry for help and the sounds of a small child drowning in the same river. Once again, the octogenarian jumped in and rescued the small boy. However, when he found out the identity of the child, he and all others were amazed to discover that the boy was the son of the man whose life he had saved all those years ago. Someone needs to teach that family to swim. Number 6. The Simpsons predicted Trump's presidency. If you're writing satire, you've got to have your finger on the pulse. The Simpsons has been on the air for over 30 years, and in that run, has famously predicted many things that would come true, including the censorship of Michelangelo's David, Siegfried and Roy being attacked by a tiger, and Disney buying 20th Century Fox. Some even believe The Simpsons predicted the 2020 coronavirus outbreak. But easily the most famous of The Simpsons' accurate predictions has to be the presidency of one Donald J. Trump. Of course, it was played for laughs and wasn't exactly a flattering caricature, but it was in the show. And regardless of how you feel about the last commander-in-chief, it was accurate enough in its prediction. Number 5. Komet gets hit by a meteor. With a family name like Komet, you can assume growing up that Hugo Komet heard his share of jokes in school about planets and comets and such. However, fate is not without a sense of irony, as in 2011, a meteorite struck the roof of his and his wife's house. It wasn't exactly a gigantic meteorite, weighing at just 88 grams and being about the size of an egg. But that's still an immensely unlikely thing to happen. The chances of getting hit by a meteorite are approximately in 1,600,000, which surely only gets less likely when the meteorite is so small. Compound that with the likelihood of the 4.59 billion-year-old lump of rock, actually landing on the home of someone with the name Comet, and you can see why this makes the list. Number 4. Twins' deadly connection. Okay, this list is becoming a bit morbid, but let's just continue. Twins have been said to have an innate connection that binds them, more so even than regular siblings. It's never been proven, but this might clinch it. In 2002, a 70-year-old man in Finland who was out enjoying a bike ride was suddenly hit by a truck and sadly killed. What a terrible shame. However, 2 hours later, on the very same road, another man was also hit and didn't make it either. This happened less than a mile away from the site of the initial death. But the coincidences don't end there, and neither does the tragedy. You see, as it actually turned out, the 2 men that had been killed were twin brothers. Due to the very short space of time between the deaths, it's very unlikely that the authorities had the time to inform the family until both had already been pronounced dead. So the second twin would have had no idea about the first. Number 3. Tempting fate. If the entry about Final Destination's Devon Sawa wasn't concerning enough, how's this for a coincidence? There's nothing wrong with being afraid of flying. The concept of being shot thousands of feet into the air for sometimes several hours in a vacuum-sealed metal tube can be slightly concerning to many. It certainly explains the number of people who have superstitions about flying. However, even the most skeptical among us would probably say their prayer before departing on a Finnair flight that took off on Friday the 13th of October 2017, with the flight number 666. It certainly didn't bother the pilot, who told the Daily Mail, "I'm not a superstitious man. It's only a coincidence for me." He didn't even seem to be bothered that the flight was bound for Helsinki, whose 3-letter airport code is HEL. Flight 666 did land safely in hell, but would you risk it on Friday the 13th? Number 2. Predicting the Benoit tragedy. Okay, this is as bleak as it's going to get. For those who didn't know, Chris Benoit was a professional wrestler and world champion in the 90s and 2000s for WCW and later WWE. Unfortunately, in an event that changed the sport forever, Benoit murdered his wife and son using a wrestling move and then committed suicide. You'll never hear his name on WWE again for this very reason. The tragedy was chalked up to the repeated concussions suffered by Benoit, who exposed the horrific health and safety practices within the sport and led to sweeping reforms of the product. However, one curious detail is often forgotten, and that is that just days before, someone had altered Benoit's Wikipedia page to say that his wife had died, but it was swiftly edited out. Did someone know what was going to happen, or was it just a coincidence? Number 1. Luckiest frequent flyer. Another flight-related coincidence here, and boy, there are a lot of these, eh? Maybe that's a coincidence too. Anyway, Martin de Jonge, a 30-year-old Dutch cyclist, likes to travel the world and go on cycling trips. But he also has a near-miraculous record of avoiding doomed flights. He had a ticket for the infamous Malaysia Airlines Flight 17, the one that got shot down over eastern Ukraine, resulting in the tragic deaths of almost 300 people. De Jonge wanted to save some cash, and decided to switch to a cheaper flight. Not only that, he also managed to avoid being on flight MH370, which famously vanished somewhere over the Indian Ocean because he didn't want to have a long layover. With this level of luck, you'd think de Jonge might be skittish about booking flights, but he's quoted as saying, "I got lucky twice, it'll go well a third time." And there you go. What do you think about these creepy phenomena? Do you think it's just a coincidence or divine intervention? Sound off in the comments either way. Also, remember to smash the like button if you enjoyed this video, click the subscribe button if you haven't already, and ring that bell for notifications so you can be sure to never miss an upload. Thanks very much for watching this video, and see you next time.